So, are you able to tell us a little bit about your job
Okay.
and like what your day-to-day tasks are, your everyday tasks?
So I get one of the most fun jobs on the site. I'm not actually a craft person, so I don't get to do the really fun stuff
Yeah.
with nailing boards together and that kind of thing. I'm more in a supervisory role. So I'm a supervisor. My main job is to plan how to put all the pieces of the building together. So, if you're building a house out of Legos, there's different ways you can do it. You can build this wall first, then the next wall, and then the last wall. I try to figure out what that order is.
Okay.
So that we keep all of our different crews productive, we keep them all safe, and we meet the overall schedule for the hospital to get their building built.
So we're gonna we'll put some questions in between here, but actually I'm gonna save them. I'm gonna save them till the end. See if we get there. I'm curious about that. So you guys have all these blueprints and plans beforehand, correct?
Yes.
And then it comes to right now where you're currently building. So your role right now is kind of overseeing those plans that you had set in place, right?
Correct.
Or is there anything not on the fly, but
there's a lot of things that are somewhat on the fly.
Yeah.
But like I started this project really 6 months before we ever started digging the foundation.
Okay.
And we spent, me and the rest of our team, we spent a lot of that time doing nothing but planning to figure out the right steps
To do.
from beginning to end and how will we approach doing that. Because the plans don't tell you what order things go in.
Okay.
So it's almost like a puzzle.
That was my question. That kind of answers it or leads into it. That was my question. Is what does it tell when you guys make the plans at the beginning, like which steps to do, or you? No. That's your job is to.
That's our job is to figure out those steps. So, when you build a puzzle, what do you like to start with?
The corners.
Corners, because you can identify them. They're very easy, and usually from the corners you go into the edges, and then from the edges you kind of work to the middle. So there's kind of a pre-established order that buildings go in. You start with your foundations or what's deepest. A lot of times you got to dig the dirt first and do all those things. So I get to help plan that and figure that out. And then we generally take that planning and put it into a schedule so that we will know how long each individual step takes. And then we add all the steps together and we come up with a overall duration.
Those are normally rough estimates, or they're pretty exact. I don't know. I don't want to give anything away or ruin anything.
They're pretty exact.
Pretty exact. Okay.
And once we have an established schedule, then we work to meet that schedule.
Okay.
Which sometimes includes. Sometimes it's delays. You get a lot of weather. You get designs need to change for one reason or another. Sometimes the use of the building can change. Or, we may be, close to finishing a building and a code will change. Sometimes that will affect our schedule. But
stress
more often
on
than
this
not,
job.
Once we establish a schedule, we work to meet that schedule. And that can mean, right now we work 6 days a week. We're usually start at 3 a.m. and finish about midnight is what our crews are working right now. And not everybody starts at 3. Not everybody works till midnight, but sometimes to make use of our most valuable resource, which right now is our tower crane, we have to work longer hours.
And the stress on your job is a lot.
There's a lot, yes. But the first piece is the planning piece. The second piece that I really enjoy is the logistics piece, which it's a big fancy word. You hear it a lot, but it basically, in my mind, it's putting the people and the materials in the correct place for them to do their job. And it goes everywhere from the big tower cranes you guys see outside, planning where to put those, knowing the capacities, because they can't lift a lot of weight, comparatively speaking, but making sure you put those in the best spot, and then scheduling where he makes his picks. We call a pick. Anytime he lifts something, it's called a pick. So we schedule picks throughout the day so that everybody gets the material where they need it, either for that day or for the next. Deliveries, we have lots of deliveries.
Nonstop, yeah.
Nonstop. You see concrete trucks all the time.
Yeah.
We probably have, 3,000 concrete truck deliveries so far. I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah. A lot of concrete goes into building how many floors does that end up going to be?
It's 9.
9 floors?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of concrete goes into 9 floors of dual sides of a building, and center. So when you're talking about your job, is your favorite part the logistics aspect of it?
Yeah, probably, because from the very get-go, I get to play with where are the driveways? Where should I put up cranes? Where should we put dirt? And we go through those plans many times, and it's not just me. It's my whole team feeds into this as well. And a lot of times we'll even put it in the computer models showing where all these pieces are and how they fit together. This job in particular was really interesting at the very beginning, because if you remember, there used to be a street that ran right through the middle of the building.
Yep.
And not only did that street connect, basically Ronald, McDonald, and Children's to the zoo, it also was the main entrance into the emergency department.
Mm-hmm.
And the main loading dock to the whole hospital.
So it was quite
that was a tricky couple of months to get started with.
Yeah.
On how we relocated the road, relocated utilities, all those things while keeping access to the hospital, emergency department, and to the loading dock, which the loading dock is the artery.
Yeah.
We cannot clog arteries.
It's the necessary part of this hospital, the part that doesn't get a lot of attention as much as the ED, but it's pretty necessary to get everything else in here. So
yes, absolutely, and get trash out too.
Yep.
It's really a two-way street.
That's true.
New materials in, rubbish out.
Get stuff out too. Okay, so when you're still talking about your job here, but the hardest, what would be like the hardest part that you'd have to say?
One of the most difficult things is dealing with changes.
Okay.
Like I said before, this is not my first project here at Children's. I've actually been through quite a few, and in location A5 is a good example of the BMT wing. Just as we were getting that area finished, there was changes in the codes and best practices, and so we had to stop all of these plans that we had in place for sometimes years.
Yeah.
And we have to stop and go backwards a little bit and make changes so we can move forward again. Those are the most difficult ones because nobody likes to do things twice.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's very necessary. And because we accommodate those changes, it overall is a better product for the end user. It's a better hospital.
When you when those things happen and you come into work, or you get a call or a text, an email, I mean, is there like a slow build up to that, or are you getting an alert and you're like, oh, well, all right, back to square one on this?
There's usually some advance warning.
Yeah.
And the hospital does a pretty good job of keeping us informed of, hey, we're starting to hear inklings about this.
Something changing.
And we may need a change here. And some of it too is things that we anticipate. Like a lot of times when we build larger projects like this, certain areas are planned to be shell space or unoccupied, and to build in growth.
Yeah.
And more often than not, the growth comes before the building's done, and so now you have fit out areas to do. But you got to take them in stride. And one of the things about our industry that most people like is the change.
Mm-hmm.
Every day,
the unexpected.
Show up, it's different.
Yeah.
And every day, at the end of the day, when you leave, it's different.
Yeah. Well, guys, we are still down here, down in the studio. So you guys want to call and participate? If you have any questions, better than my questions, probably, or more fun at least, you can call down and ask 33333 if you want to ask those questions. So, what first got you interested in construction or in doing your role as it is today?
So I kind of went down a long road, but I'll start way back at the beginning. I can still to this day remember young child. My folks had a very old home that they were renovating. So they had different tradesmen come in from time to time. And I was, probably 4 or 5 years old. I always wanted to help because I thought what they did was so cool. And, I was probably more detrimental than helpful, but I just really liked it. And as I got into high school, I always worked either on houses, building houses as a helper, or, doing painting on my own and little odd jobs like that, never knowing that I would get interested in construction. And I became a student at Purdue University, enrolled in freshman engineering. And one of the things that they do is they make you go to a class as a freshman, and they explain every single discipline in engineering, because there's chemical engineers, there's civil engineers, there's electrical, all these different engineering disciplines. And a guy came in, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then he talked about construction engineering and what those do, and the light bulb went off. The hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I said, that's what I want to do. And from that moment on, I had a purpose, I had a goal, and I was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
From there, I haven't looked back, and I've never regretted taking on this path down this field.
So that leads to, because kind of what we were talking about before with the college or trade school, and just kind of your feelings on that. But so you were a Boilermaker.
Yes.
But there's many people in the construction job out there that didn't go to college or end up going to trade school. So there isn't there isn't a whole lot of, you can choose kind of your own path in this, correct?
Our industry is so unique in that there's so many different opportunities for people to decide what they might like to do. Everything from the folks that design the buildings, they have to do calculations on how big beams and columns are and all those things, and architects to make it look good and function well, to people that do one of the most important jobs is to keep the job clean. And they go everywhere from college educated to high school educated and everywhere in between. But I found in our industry, everybody's passionate about what they do. Most of them took years to acquire their skills. Fantastic carpenters. It's unbelievable the things they can do with their hands and their tools. I'm just very jealous of.
Something I can't do, for sure.
Electricians. We're in an electric culture where everything is wired.
Yeah.
And even becoming wireless, which is it basically means the wires are all hidden.
Yeah.
And they use antennas, which complicates it even more.
Yeah.
For these guys to figure out all these things, I mean, it takes years of training and expertise, but boy, they really take a lot of pride in what they do.
Yeah. I mean, it's and everybody there, or everybody over, not just this job, but every other job brings something to the table. So,
yes.
For a job that big. So when you've worked on quite a bit of projects, I can imagine, but what would be your favorite one and why?
I looked at, I've been at children I started as a co-op in 1989. That's okay. How long. Yeah. I haven't been here the whole time, but I think my most favorite job was actually at Northern Kentucky University Student Union. And it was mainly because that was my first role as a superintendent. I used to do project management, which is a little more administrative and less in the field. So it was my first job in that role, but it was a job that I built with some of my most favorite coworkers. Steve Record, who was kind of my mentor on Location B, my first full-time project out here. I got to reconnect with him after 20 years. And Al Humphrey, who was a carpenter foreman on multiple jobs, some of which Location T, Location S.
Okay.
All projects that we worked with. And that job just kind of, we all came back together, and it was a new role, a little different area. And They're just great guys, and we had so much fun.
Now, where does this job currently compare to, on as far as scale, to S&T? Because when S&T went up, that was like the first big scale on the hospital as far as size goes.
I would probably disagree a little bit.
Really? Oh, that's
Yes.
fine. I'm the one that knows the least about this. So,
Location B was the first really large
Okay.
project. And square footage wise is how we usually measure buildings.
yeah.
So to give you an idea, that's about 360,000 square feet.
B. You talk about B. Okay.
That's a big building.
Yeah.
Location A was 416,000.
Okay.
And that's just the patient floors. That doesn't include all the parking underneath,
Yeah.
which was previously built. The Casota garage, which you had mentioned before, that's
Yeah.
about 600,000 square feet, if
Okay.
I remember. S&T were both in the 400,000 range.
Okay. Yeah.
So that kind of sets the stage of what's before the new critical care building. That one is 650,000.
Okay. That's
That
big.
is a very,
That's a big building.
very big building.
Yeah. I guess, and see, you look at things sometimes in height wise, and it doesn't always mean, or more square footage. So,
This one's not very tall,
yeah,
relatively speaking. I think
comparatively.
location T is 14 levels.
Yeah.
This one is 9, but it's
It's still wide and
very
covers a lot of ground.
Yes. Yeah, and some of it is underground.
Yeah. Well, cool. Okay. When you were in school, what was the favorite class or subject when you were in high school or grade school?
I wasn't always the greatest student, I got to admit.
That's me either. So,
But I will tell you, my favorite was geometry. of
oh
all
God,
things.
of all things, that was my least favorite.
Because even though I have a degree in engineering that's a lot of math based,
hmm
I'm not very good at arithmetic. But the geometry, everything flowed, everything made sense to me, shapes and sizes.
I guess it's good you ended up where you're at
It is.
in fitting shapes and sizes, and
It is.
it's like a giant game of Tetris with like
That is
a real life version.
It is a very, very good analogy. Because
Way more complications than the end game of Tetris, but the concept is there.
in our industry is getting to the point where we're making bigger pieces off the job,
Yeah.
shipping them in big pieces, and setting them down in the correct order because it makes everything go faster.
Yeah.
So it is a big game of
This
Tetris
is-
to a certain extent.
Yeah. Well, I think especially everybody, just all of it. It blows my mind. I told her last time, every time I walk past the building every morning, because I park at MOB, it is every time I walk past it, I'm just like, there's something new to look at every single day.
Yeah.
That somehow went up overnight or something new, like the accents on top right now.
Yeah.
I-
That's our penthouse.
Okay.
And that's kind of the heart and lungs of the building. That's where the air conditioning is. That's where a lot of the main electrical
Okay.
equipment is. And there's reasons why we built that a little different. It's steel
Yeah.
instead of concrete. So there's reasons why we did that. Most of it was schedule driven, but it also allows us to get a lot of that equipment in before we put the roof on the building.
And when
Some of those pieces of equipment are massive.
when is the schedule? Because you said that was coming up, right? That the last kind of the end cap of the actual build on the roof, that was coming up, right? Oh, hold on.
Official deck has been poured, but we still have more
More things
So
on top of that.
concrete
structural
floor.
the
Floor of the penthouse is concrete,
Okay.
but the roof of the penthouse is steel.
Okay.
So we have now reached almost our final height.
Gotcha.
On top
Okay.
of the penthouse roof is a little elevator penthouse,
Okay.
but it's small and it doesn't stick up very high. So we're pretty much as high as we'll go.
Okay. So now we get to like the fun questions here. So the favorite color and why? Dude, you don't even have to have a reason.
That wasn't on the question. My favorite color, I think, is blue.
Blue. Okay, me
And
too.
I like blue because it can go from a very light sky blue to very deep and dark.
Got lots of
And there's
shades.
just so many variations that are of that color that are just beautiful.
Well, then you picked a good place to work because we got lots of blues around here. So, okay. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I do. I've got 3 brothers, 2 sisters. I'm number 4.
Okay.
Kind of right in the middle.
Yeah. You're a middle child.
I am. My oldest sister and my older brother both live here in Cincinnati.
Okay.
I've got a brother in Chicago. He's a chemical engineer. A brother in Indianapolis. He's a pharmaceutical researcher. And my baby sister, she is a pharmacist.
So, what genes did your parents give you to get this like crazy engineering brain inside of you? Because
Mostly Levi's. Every once in a while some Lee jeans with, I don't know. I'm just making that up.
no, you guys. Yeah.
My dad went to school. My sister was a valedictorian, so there's plenty of smarts, I guess.
Yeah. So you're not short in that department.
And it's just kind of what we did. I don't know that we were pushed one way or the
Yeah.
other.
But just where you ended up.
They encouraged whatever we wanted to do, that we get the proper training to do it.
Yeah.
And they supported us all the way through. Me and my oldest brother Greg both were co-op students,
Okay.
which allowed us to work and go to school at the same time to help pay for it.
Yeah.
And I think that is by far the best way to get an education.
Yeah.
Our company certainly supports it. We have co-op students
Yeah.
that do a lot of work while they're going to school and get paid for it.
I wish my school had a co-op program. We have an intern. I mean, I interned here, so it worked out. But okay, now, if you had to pick cats or dogs, what are you picking?
Oh, well, definitely dogs.
Do you have a dog?
We've got many.
Many dogs.
My wife and I have a small farm, so
Okay.
we've got lots of space. So we have 2 inside dogs, 2 outside dogs.
And what type of dogs?
Oh, they're all rescues.
Okay, gotcha.
Some of them that just showed up on the farm,
Yeah.
that kind of rescue, all the way to a couple that we got out of the pound. So
Okay.
one is a cross between a chow and a border collie named Henry.
Okay.
He looks like a stuffed animal. He's the cutest thing ever. Then we have our $5 dog, which is Rudy. He is 120 pounds of pure shepherd.
That's a lot for $5.
Oh, he's a monster. But yeah, we got him out of the shelter for a $5 fee. And then we've got Ditz and Fritz, or the 2 dogs that we rescued from the local ditch down the road. That they had a hard time last winter, so we adopted them.
Well, I think that's awesome.
So,
Only reason I was asking is because I have a herding dog, and she is. I didn't know if you had any outdoor herding dogs. Because if you need one, I can give you one. I'm just kidding.
you would miss her too much.
I know I would. I love her, but man. Okay. Any hobby? Well, I'm sure you have hobbies, but what are your hobbies outside of work? Obviously.
Farming. I use that term loosely, but we do have a small chicken farm and have horses and things like that. So that takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
My wife she's the main farmer.
Yeah.
I just help support that habit. Other than that, I enjoy fishing and doing some woodworking, and be honest or not, even outside of work, I do a lot of building. I built our barns, I built the house, and I built sheds. And
if you like doing it, why stop at work?
I really like doing it because at work I just have to supervise.
Yeah.
They get to do it.
So then you actually get to do it.
I like to actually do
Yeah.
it. So those are the main hobbies.
Well, awesome. Okay. What was like one of the biggest challenges you overcame as a kid or as an adult?
I looked back at that and said, probably the biggest thing was college.
Mm-hmm.
Because, through grade school and high school, I wasn't the greatest student. I was very, very average, and probably didn't work as hard as I should have. But when I got to Purdue, and I struggled, the first probably semester, and literally when the light bulb went off and I figured out what I wanted to do, I became very determined to get it done, and I had a lot of catching up to do. But I made it through, enjoyed it a lot, made some fantastic lifelong friends, but it was a lot of work.
It's amazing what finding something you want to do changes. I guess how much you want to do at school
It changed my entire outlook.
Because I found the same thing when I started doing classes I actually enjoyed. I was a way better student than I thought I could be.
When you become passionate about it,
Yeah.
it's amazing the effort you're willing to put in.
Yep, and how much fun you have while doing it
Oh, absolutely.
instead of dreading it.
Yes.
So
Best piece of advice I ever got from any of my college professors was, if you love what you do, you never truly work a day in your life.
And I always thought that
In all
was just
honesty.
like some fortune cookies say. And then
Not
I
even
actually
a
started
little bit.
doing it, and now here I am. I get to
if
play
you
with
like
cameras.
what you do, if you have a passion for it, you will truly, you
You-
never really truly work a day in
Yeah.
your life. Yeah.
agree. Okay, now I have some nerd questions for you. Mainly because this is, I'm just curious. So I was looking at the crane the other day actually, and I started Googling, but I never got a straight answer. How does one disassemble the crane?
With another crane,
Then how do you disassemble that crane?
with another crane.
See,
So-
this is where it's confusing. Is it just like a little, like the Russian toy doll thing? It's just a bigger crane, a smaller crane, a smaller crane?
Well, and
It's-
then the tower
it's not
crane
too
builds
far.
itself as well a little bit
They
too,
can.
right? Yeah.
Our tower cranes are not self-erecting. They don't need to be because they're not that tall.
Yeah.
The one that we used at T did have to be self-erecting because
Okay.
it would jack itself up.
Yeah.
So you basically need a very large mobile crane
Okay.
to build the tower crane. And then we'll bring in a small mobile crane to build the bigger mobile crane. So when they come in to build a crane, even a mobile one, it's probably 15 truckloads of material. And most of that is the boom or the stick.
Mm-hmm.
But more so than that is all the counterweights.
Okay.
So, just like a teeter-totter,
Yeah.
if you put a lot of weight on one side, you got to put a lot of weight on the other.
And you got to
And-
balance that the whole time.
Correct. And you can use, if you put your weight towards the center, then you can pick up some way far out.
Yeah.
So it's all a balance, just like a teeter-totter is. So what we do is we put a lot of weight on the tail end of our cranes. That
Okay.
way it doesn't tip over. And I'm talking not 1,000,000 pounds on these size cranes, but probably 500,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's every little bit of weight has to come in, and they're too heavy to transport if it was just one big weight. So we truck in lots of little weights, and we keep stacking them on this crane until
Okay.
it has enough counterweight to pick up things.
What is like the schedule like of so okay, when you get close to the end of your project, right? When is I guess cleanup start? So cleanup is done when the doors open, correct?
Sure.
Ish. But like does that start months before, like where you're starting to like things are buttoned up, you're starting to wrap things up? I guess that's all I'm asking.
So we started level L2, which is going to be the new emergency department.
Okay.
We started the interior work on that probably 2 months ago,
Okay.
and that'll go on for at least another year.
Okay.
So we'll get that piece finished, and then it'll more or less rest while we're finishing the rest of the building
Okay.
and building other infrastructure. So, but we'll start doing what we call a punch list, which is an inspection and final cleaning of that area well before the doors open.
Okay.
But the last floor we build, which is level 6, that cleaning and punch list will happen just before we turn the building over to the hospital.
And then when you're saying punch list, can you describe that again real quick?
So a punch list is just a list of items that need to be either completed or
Okay.
corrected.
Gotcha.
So if there's a nick in the wall, we'll inspect that wall, and every time there's a nick, we'll write it on a list that says, fix the nick in the wall.
Okay.
So there's a
It's
lot
gonna be
of
quite the
those.
list.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a big list.
Yeah.
But as we go through, we try to fix all the nicks as we go,
Yeah.
so we don't have a big list at the very end.
Gotcha. That's all the nerd questions I have. Do you have anything to add? No?
Don't think so. Other than I'll ask the same question I asked Gerald. If you are out on site and you happen to be looking up and you see people in the windows, do you try to wave or make, like, if they're waving to you, will you wave back? And does that give you any kind of sense of awe or emotion?
I got to be very careful about how I answer that, because depending if there's waving to say hi, then of course we always wave back. We really enjoy the patients and their families, and it's kind of neat that our proximity to Ronald McDonald House, and we get to see a lot of those families, and it helps us remind us why we're here.
Yeah.
And what we're doing, because it's very easy for us to get caught up in concrete and steel and overlook the big picture. The big picture is to create a great healthcare environment for our children. And it really helps when we do things like this. It helps us keep pretty well grounded.
Yeah.
Ronald McDonald has sent us a couple pictures of kids looking out the window and watching what we do every day, and seeing us play with the big toys. Sometimes that's what it is.
I think that's awesome. But we're going to have to get a virtual field trip going on where we send one of us out there to go see you guys out there. So we'll get a hard hat involved, and yeah.
Anytime you let us know.
Yep.
Be happy to do it.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having
and
me.
thanks for answering our hard-hitting questions.
It was pretty rough.
We will see you guys probably next month, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The rest of you guys, have a good weekend. We're done for the day, and we're going to see you guys on Monday morning at 10:30.